Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Tonight we're going to be looking at Rogue Trooper, The Future of War. This was the first in a series of books collecting all of the Rogue Trooper stories in order. These originally appeared in 1981 and 82, in 2000 AD, the great English Comics Weekly. These have been collected many times before, and they probably will be again. There's so many ways to read these stories, going all the way back to the 80s when Titan was publishing those albums, reprinting all the great 2000 AD characters. This is from the 2000s when, for a very brief period, DC teamed up with Rebellion Studios, who owned 2000 AD, and were putting out all these great reprints of all the classic 2000 AD stuff. It only lasted a short while. I believe there's only 2 of these, which I have. They did 2 or 3 of Judge Dredd, all the other characters, and then I guess it wasn't a profitable partnership, or Rebellion wanted to put them out themselves. And then, of course, after that, Rebellion has been basically doing their own collections for the past, 15 years at least. And to be honest, I wish I had those. They're way more extensive. Like this Rogue Trooper book is very thin. So there's a lot of comics in here, but as you can see, it's very thin. The Rebellion editions, they're nice fat omnibuses that they really just reprint huge chunks of the histories of each of these characters. This is just scratching the surface. This is like pretty much from his first year of appearances in 2000 AD. I love this character. I know about Rogue Trooper from the 80s floppy comics published by, what were they called? Quality Comics, which succeeded Eagle Comics. And their printing was terrible. It was god-awful, some of the worst printing in the 80s. But I fell in love with Rogue Trooper. He's just this amazing character. He's a genetic infantryman in this, sci-fi world in the future where it's just a world of constant warfare. Just these two sides fighting for just forever. It's never going to end. And it's just, it's basically tales of future war. And really kick-ass fun stuff. And I just love this whole scenario is great. Of Rogue Trooper. So let's crack this open. The cover's by Colin Wilson. Really nice. I'm sorry. The cover's by Cam Kennedy. Another great 2000 AD artist. So we have the credits here. So the Rogue Trooper was the creation, and the main writer for almost all the early years of the character was Gerry Finley-Day, who was a stalwart in English comics. He did lots of those war comics in the 70s for the English publishing houses, and so this is he just made it sci-fi, so it would fit into 2000 AD. There's a lot of great art in here, a lot of great artists, but for the most part, 2 artists do the bulk of it. Dave Gibbons gets a co-creator credit for being the first artist to visualize Rogue Trooper. Got a title page. And now we get into the very first adventure. So this is from 1981. Let me double check that. Yes, 1981. So we're introduced to the planet New Earth, NU Earth. It's this planet that is just, there's been so much warfare there. The atmosphere is completely unbreathable. It's poison. The oceans are poisonous. It's just, you can't survive there without a suit on, except Rogue Trooper can. So now we see these southern soldiers. So basically the 2 warring factions here are the Norts and the Southers. And Rogue Trooper is definitely aligned with the Southers. He was a Souther, basically a weapon designed by the Southers. It does seem like the Southers are slightly better than the Norts. The Norts are more Nazi-like, but I'm sure they're both equally evil, empires fighting each other. Dave Gibbons doesn't even does a lettering on this. Look at this art. Like some of this, you'd never guess that's Dave Gibbons. He never does this kind of shading. Later on, his art becomes very clean, and he's really putting in all this illustrative detail and shading and stuff that, you know, a few years later you wouldn't really see from him. So these South soldiers are trying to take a weapon installation. They're getting fried. Look at this amazing art. It's kind of amazing that these comics were geared for like 10, 12-year-old boys. And they could get away with this, though. I don't think this would have flown in a Marvel DC comic. The Comics Code would have said that's too gory. And here we see Rogue Trooper. Now, the interesting thing about Rogue Trooper is he's got 3 buddies that kind of exist on him. So whenever a Rogue Trooper is killed, their bodies are killed, they have a microchip in their brain that can be taken out with the personality of this soldier and harnessed in the helmet, the backpack, and the gun. So he has 3 friends. One's in the helmet, his name's Helm, and one's in the backpack. I think his name's Bagman, and the one in the gun is called Gunner. And so they all talk to him. So it's kind of fun because they kind of sass him a lot, and they kind of annoy him. Sometimes they argue, and he has to be like, "Shut the hell up, guys. I'm trying to do this mission." A lot of times they're convincing him not to get involved with the regular combat because apparently they have their own mission, which we'll slowly find out. So usually he chooses to help the South soldiers. He doesn't want to see them die. So he enters the fray, and he tears through these North soldiers. A lot of the times all he has to do is rip their masks off. That's one of his main superpowers, is that he doesn't need a oxygen mask. He can breathe this poisonous atmosphere. And so he takes out this giant gun with all these soldiers, mostly just by breaking their air tubes. And now 2 of the soldiers are talking about Rogue Trooper, and we get a little background, you know, about how they operate. What I just told you about the microchips, you know. So I guess even the South military, South Millicom as they call it, military command, they're kind of looking for Rogue Trooper because technically he's a deserter. So he's just like a man without an army, basically, but he's on a mission on this war-torn planet. Really sharp art from Dave Gibbons. This is just amazing stuff. Next we have New Paris, same creative team. Every single one of these is written by Gerry Finley-Day, so I won't reiterate that. This is really sweet art by Dave Gibbons. So apparently the mission that Rogue Trooper is on with his 3 microchip buddies is the Quartz Massacre. They were betrayed. That's how the 3 guys who were microchips died. It was a military maneuver. All the genetic infantrymen were going to attack this place. Some traitor ratted them out, and there was a trap. Basically, every genetic infantryman was killed except for Rogue Trooper. And technically, his 3 microchip buddies are still alive. And possibly one day they can clone them bodies so they can walk again as men. Or at least androids, or whatever the hell Rogue Trooper is. So he actually goes to the military commander here. And this guy's kind of a pompous ass, this general. He's like, you know, how dare you ask me for highly classified information? And even though he does, he still tries to save their asses. But a Nort ambush breaks through their bubble. Basically, everyone has to live in bubbles, you know, if they want to take their suits off. There's just nowhere on the planet that is safe. Next is the Glass Zone. So Rogue Trooper is on this part of the planet that has been blasted so many times that the surface is just glass. He falls asleep. And in his dreams, we get a flashback to the Courts Massacre. I love the way Gerry Finley-Day over these little short stories, because, 2000 AD, the stories were like 5 pages each. He slowly doles out all this information. He's really good at structuring these serialized stories where everyone's got a lot of action, but then he always makes sure to just give you a little bit more information very sequentially. He's a pretty good craftsman in that way. For a genre fiction writer, he's just very good at his craft. So the Courts Massacre, we see these GIs all getting dropped in these, whatever capsules, and before they even hit the ground, they're getting the Norts were ready for them, and we're blowing them out of the sky. And now, so in the next few stories, we're going to see how all the microchips, his microchip friends, turned into microchips. So first we have Gunner here. Gunner is wounded, he's going to die, and Rogue Trooper extracts his chip, puts it in his gun. He wakes up now from his flashback dream. Some Norts are attacking him, and of course he takes them out. Rogue Trooper always wins. I mean, they're very predictable in a way. These comics remind me of Enemy Ace a lot, where I have 2 of the giant archive books of tons of Enemy Ace stories. I love them, even though almost every story is the same. There's not much difference, and yet I never get tired of them. They're just such perfect little genre stories that even though they just keep repeating themselves, and Rogue Trooper totally does. It's pretty much every comic is okay, Rogue Trooper gets involved saving some Salvage soldiers, and then there's always an interesting twist on it, just like Robert Kanigher would do in his war comics, but I can't get enough of them. I love these. Maybe a lot of it's nostalgia, because I really loved these when I was in college. This one's called Clash in Doomsday Valley. Let me double check. Yep, same creative team. Still Dave Gibbons art. This is just almost every panel is pretty flawless here. For great genre action art. This is just good stuff. All the enemy troops constantly show surprise that there's a guy without a gas mask on, because everyone thought the genetic infantrymen died, every one of them. So nobody knows there was one survivor. They finally figure it out, but almost every issue they're like, how is he doing it? Next we have Terror of the Decapitators, same creative team. A lot of this is just Gerry Finley-Day coming up with interesting future weapons. These Nort decapitators, these flying balls with shrapnel in them that just spit out shrapnel and chop everyone's head off. Here's a Kashar drill probe. It's a thing that just burrows underground and comes up into the enemy side and just starts firing everywhere. Kind of like the Gopher missile. So now we have a flashback to how Bagman became a microchip. So this is that same battle. A lot of them were killed, and Bagman gets it. So Rogue Trooper takes his microchip out, puts it in his backpack. Now back to the present. Yeah, I'm not going to get into too much plot details, because really it's all pretty much a battle, some interesting sci-fi weaponry, and then Rogue Trooper kicks everyone's ass. This one's called Raiders. These desert raider guys look like Tusken Raiders or something. So these raiders are going to kill some Salvage soldiers and some civilians. Rogue Trooper rallies them together to fight off these guys, and of course succeeds. Next we have the Scum Sea. This is a naval tale. The oceans are just as bad as the atmosphere. It's pure poison. Rogue Troopers attacking this Nort ship. And he just whips this guy into the ocean, and look at him, he's just like, totally like acid. And now we have a flashback to how Helm became a microchip. Basically, Rogue and him were like the last two guys left after this, Quartz massacre. But then Helm, he bought it. So he's questioning this Nort naval commander, who's an old timer, who actually says, "Yeah, I wasn't proud of what we did that day," because basically another tip off after that massacre, the Nort Navy was tipped off to be like, "Hey, this is where those guys are gonna be, finish them off." So he gets some more clues. He gives them a name, Grand Admiral Hoffa. So now they at least have a name to track down, who might lead them to the traitor. Next, Ascent to Buzzard 3. Now we have the introduction of Colin Wilson. He does a lot of these stories. Man, his art is... This guy is slicker than grease. He's so good. I mean, I love the Dave Gibbons art, but this is just so slick. He's really a great cartoonist. So now with this new information, I guess the military commanders are in these satellites, hovering over the planet. One of them is called Buzzard 3. That's where the Souther generals are. And Rogue Trooper knows he's got to get up there to that satellite because he knows the traitors up there. Look at these faces here. I see lots of Michael Golden in him, in Colin Wilson. Just very, nothing too crazy, but very kind of idiosyncratic. Really interesting faces and stuff. Man, this art is really nice. So this is all part of that Buzzard 3 story. This is a multi-parter. Yeah, this really, I see a lot of Golden in here. This is the military command. Rogue Trooper sneaks in on this shuttle. Really nice sci-fi art, trying the technology. Colin Wilson's really good at that. Man, this looks doesn't look like Golden. This just looks like, I don't know, Lee Elias or those old, 40s cartoonists. Frank Robbins before he was terrible. I love this stuff. So, Rogue Trooper finally makes it to this, military command. And he tells them what the hell's going on. He says there's a Nort spy in this room, tells them about the Quartz massacre. And then all of a sudden, they get news that a Nort missile is approaching the satellite. So I guess the traitor knew that the jig was up. So he called the Norts to, send this missile. So Rogue Trooper, of course, is accusing these guys. It was like, one of you guys must be the traitor who was behind the Quartz massacre. But, of course, they have to get out of that satellite. So there's all these little shuttles, these little life pods, escape pods, and they've all been tampered with by the traitor. So they all blow up. Basically, their heat shields have been fucked with. So Rogue Trooper's in one of these, and he's just like, oh shit. So he realizes what's going on, and he actually takes one of his chips, his buddies, and shoves it into the heat shield thing. It's a close call, but it works. So the ship lands safely on New Earth. So, of course, there's one shuttle that wasn't tampered with, escape pod, I should say. It's the traitors, so he knows that the traitors on the surface of the Earth, his escape pod landed. Next, we have the rookies. And Dave Gibbons is back for this one. Man, look at that. Prototypical Dave Gibbons. So here we see what it's like for these young soldiers on New Earth. It's just a really shitty gig. I guess this one little planet is near a black hole gate, or whatever you call it, a black hole portal, and so it's very strategically important. The Norts and the Southers have been fighting over this for, like, it sounds like centuries. So we see this these two rookies. One of them becomes hardened by war. One of them becomes, like, pretty much shell-shocked. He's just like a walking zombie. He's been broken. And of course, Road Trooper shows up to help these poor guys out who are getting killed by the Norts. So these two rookies, they argue all the time. Because, you know, one of them is just this, like, badass bastard now. And the other one's just constantly, like, going, let's find safety. I can't take it. So the hard ass wants to take Road Trooper in because technically he's a deserter, even though he saved their lives. And it gets down to the point where, you know, the shell shock guy, Kransky, he basically steps up and he shoots his own buddy, his own fellow soldier, to save Road Trooper. Next is Blue Moon, and now we got Colin Wilson again. Man, that's some nice stuff. This is kind of a weird one. So we see these Norts getting some R&R, and their commander is got some entertainment for him. And I guess it's the inhabitants of the Blue Moon above New Earth. They call them Blue Mooners. And I guess they all blue skin. They've been, I guess, genetically tampered with. And they're like, kind of like a traveling burlesque show, or not burlesque, but, you know, like vaudeville. And they just entertain the troops. Kind of odd. Next, we got Poison. So now we have a new artist come in, Mike Dory. I don't know if new is the word. This guy's very old school. I kind of like his art. It's very just chunky. I mean, look at this. This guy, I'm pretty sure, was like an old school, you know, English comic artist. I'm sure he was doing stuff in like the 60s soccer comics and war comics. Kind of weird. It has this scorecard. Genetically engineered infantrymen, immunity chart. Choking agents immune to all. Incapacitating agents immune to all. So Road Trooper's hanging out. Once again, just, you know, looking for that traitor. And some Norts attack him. I like how it's such a dumb word. But there's, you know, bazookas. They have lazookas. Maybe it's pronounced lazooka because it's laser bazookas. Pretty silly. So he's at the ice caps, the polar ice caps. And there's this rare flower he finds, something that actually grows on this planet. Road Trooper's very thrilled. He said, oh my God. Turns out it has some deadly spores that are even Road Trooper it's not immune to. So he falls over, and it looks like he's dying. So basically, his three microchip buddies have to save him because he's incapacitated. So they cause an avalanche, get these North soldiers with their their sonic synth voices. And luckily, Rogue Trooper recovers and kills a lot more Nord soldiers in various ways. Now we got Colin Wilson coming back for Fear of the Machine. This one is they're passing through this city called New Hamlin. It used to be, I guess, kind of a haven in this world, but now it's like totally deserted. All the South soldiers that had occupied it are all dead. It's this big mystery. Road Trooper's like, what the hell's going on? He's constantly being attacked as he's walking through the city. This gunfire comes out of nowhere. And he figures it out as basically this computer that used to run the city, you know, like the weather and the traffic. It's been programmed to just kill any Souther who comes through it. So it's this deadly trap. The whole city is a deadly trap. So Road Trooper is going to take it out. He doesn't want to, he could just escape, but he's like, no, this thing's going to keep killing Souther soldiers, so I'm going to, you know, make it my mission to take it out. So he has to basically get to the CPU of this computer. So he actually takes the microchips of Bagman and Helm and shoves it into the computer. And they're going to attack from within. Within the computer, they actually have bodies again. I mean, it's, you know, virtual reality type bodies, you know, like cyberspace. And meanwhile, Rogue is being attacked by the city. He's trying to hold on until these two guys can attack the CPU. This is 1982, so I'm curious to see if maybe they saw Tron. Gerry Finley-Day just saw Tron or something and was kind of doing a riff on it. There's some really nice stuff going on here with Colin Wilson in this computer world. It's almost like a Bill Sienkiewicz type stuff. Sorry, Sienkiewicz. I still say his name wrong after all these years. God, just the way he draws his gun. He's really good with drawing crazy mechanical sci-fi stuff. I love that 70s computer lettering. That's how all computers, the font of a computer back then. Well, early 80s counts too. So now the CPU is sending up defenses to fight the two guys within the, you know, virtual reality. Here's another example of this just great, cool design. So you're getting closer to the CPU to trying to take it out before Rogue dies, because Rogue is not doing good. It looks like the computer is going to kill him, but then they finally succeed. Rogue collects the chips and gets the hell out of there. They always have these kind of like almost like how Robert Kanigher would. These little homilies at the end. A world at war is even weirder than a computerized city. How these computers run on logic, but a planet's population trying to destroy itself, that's the weirdest. Make war no more. So now we have the Dreamweavers, and Dave Gibbons comes back here. This is one of the earliest stories I remember reading. I think this was in like Road Trooper number 1 or 2 from Quality. So the Nords have a weapon that can make your worst fears, you can visualize them. It's like psychological warfare. So this giant spider, a giant snake, and it makes these Souther guys panic and run from their trenches, and then they just get mowed down. So it seems to be working very well. Sometimes it's not just fear. So this one, it's all these beautiful women. I love this like kind of Hindu cart with these flower-bedecked bowls pulling it. And they're like these beautiful like sirens. They're like, show us your handsome faces. Remove those ugly masks. And some of the guys become bewitched by it. They're like, yes. And of course they die. So we see all these hallucinations. Even Road Trooper can kind of see them, but he can kind of see through them too. So he's not completely blinded by them. And basically he's just got this young little rookie, this green apple here. I think he's the only survivor, and he's going to help him. They're going to beat this Dreamweaver thing. So using Rogue Trooper, the fact that he can see through these illusions, he's guiding the young rookie to, shoot past the illusions, because the Dreamweaver tank is behind, the one generating these illusions. So, of course, it works. They hit the tank, and Rogue Trooper shoots them all, kills them all. But then the kid is so fucked up by these hallucinations. He's like, "You're a monster too. I've got to shoot you." But then Gunner takes matter into his own hands. Gunner can work on his own. They all can. All these microchip buddies, they can just, decide to be like, "I'm shooting that guy." Next is The Buzzard with art by Colin Wilson. Man, I love this stuff. I guess Colin Wilson ended up moving to Europe and doing all these really acclaimed graphic albums there, comic albums. So it's almost like for the past 10 episodes, they've kind of forgotten about the traitor guy. But now they're getting back to that main story, their main mission. Look at all the detail on this armor here. Really good sci-fi artist, Colin Wilson is. So Rogue Trooper's disguising himself as a human. He has some makeup so to cover his blue skin, and his weird eyes he's got covered up by a bandage. And so he's trying to infiltrate this Nort place. It's basically a Nort prison. They call it the glass house because it's all glass, so they can monitor the prisoners at all times. And here's the warden, and he's talking to his main interrogator, the Buzzard. That's the guy who engineered the Quartz Massacre. So he was a Souther general traitor, and now he's with the Norts because Rogue exposed him. So Rogue knows he's got to be interred in this prison. Lets himself be captured so he can get inside and take care of this guy. Look at that. That's kind of interesting there, the way he draws his face. So a lot of the guys there don't like Rogue Trooper because when he was captured, quote unquote captured, he had bullets in his gun. So they're like, "You fucking coward. You didn't even try to fight to the death." So they're all giving him shit. And then on top of that, Rogue Trooper is saying, "Hey, I'll talk to your interrogator. I'll tell him anything he knows, man. I don't care." So they all hate his guts. They're trying to kick his ass. So he finds the Buzzard. The way he tries this warden is really neat. I almost see a hint of Kirby in it. It's weird. So, while Rogue is trying to get this information, or trying to get the Buzzard, the main guy who's been hassling Rogue Trooper about being a coward, he starts a jailbreak. Unfortunately, the timing's terrible because Rogue Trooper's like, "Damn it. I was just about to find the Buzzard and get that information from him." And Rogue Trooper, he'd rather save the Souther soldiers. So he's like, "I was so close, but now I gotta help these fuckers." So he's gonna help them escape, of course. Oh God, this art is tight. Really nice stuff. I think who he reminds me of now is Carlos Jimenez, the guy who did that Hom comic, and Echoes from Future Past. That's what I'm seeing in that face. There's really interesting stylization going on. So Rogue kills the commandant, the warden of the prison, and the Buzzard escapes. So You'll have to find them another day. Next, we have the Petrified Forest. Yeah, Mike Dory's back, the old school artist. I kind of like this stuff. It's just like, it looks like it's from the 60s or something. So this forest is called the Petrified Forest because, you know, this chemical wasteland of a planet. You can't really sustain life, and Road Trooper is walking through it. He escapes an ambush from Nort soldiers. And so now the Norts have a new plan. So I guess they did their own genetic experimentation, but they weren't good at it. So all of their genetic infantrymen, if you will, just are like these like gorilla-like looking guys. So I don't know if they experimented on gorillas or just the men they experimented on kind of became bestial, but they're really like they're too dumb to be normal soldiers. But they figure, well, just to get Road Trooper in that Petrified Forest, we'll just drop them. And they'll revert to their savage instincts and just tear them to shreds. So we see Road Trooper still traveling through the forest, killing Nort soldiers. And then they drop down this monster squad. And it looks like they've cornered Rogue in his sleep, and they have his gun with Gunner's chip in it. Excuse me, guys. I gotta get some water. So Road Trooper's trying to escape these guys, and then he's totally cornered. So he figures, just like in some dumb old movies, like maybe if I challenge their leader, the biggest guy, you know, we could have one-on-one combat. So he wins against this guy named Kong, of course, and they all kind of pledge allegiance to Road Trooper. He's their new leader. Turns out that the Nords were really cruel to these genetic experiments. So with their simple brains, they're like, yeah, we help you. We know, like those Nords, they hurt us a lot. So now they're on his side. They try to gas him. And then Kong shows up again. He's got a gunner. He's got his gun. So he tries to shoot Road Trooper with it, but Gunner refuses to fire. So of course this dumb monkey looks inside the barrel like, what? And then of course Gunner fires, kills him. So Road Trooper just says, hey, you guys are free. You can live in this petrified forest. I forgot to mention that even though they're kind of dim-witted and not really good soldiers, they can breathe without masks on, which you probably noticed. So they can survive just fine. And now they're free to live, you know, how they want to live in a forest. And of course, Road Trooper moves on. Next is War of Nerves. Oh, man, some beautiful Colin Wilson art. God, just look how he applies the black inks here. This just looks really good. So this is another kind of dumb one. Apparently they have a laser skywriter that is another type of psychological warfare where they print letters in the sky here. It looks like that, font from an old calculator. It'll be like, tonight you will die. I'm coming closer. Your army will all die. And it's actually freaking these guys out. One of the guys runs out of his trench and is like, I'll kill them before they kill me. Of course, that's exactly what they wanted. They blow them up. I'm kind of stalling here. I just want to keep looking at these panels. It's like a sumptuous feast for the eyes. Ah, there's more of it here. This is so nice. So, of course, Road Trooper's going to take out this thing. It's so dumb. I can't imagine being rattled by, oh, look, there's letters in the sky that says, your side's not going to win. We'll get you, Greg. But who cares? This art's fucking great. Look how good, once again, drawing this machinery. And of course, Road Trooper succeeds, takes out this stupid thing. Next is Bagman Blues. And now we have the introduction of Brett Ewins and Eric Bradbury into the artistic circle. Jerk. I don't know. I don't know why I can't think of a better word. I'm an idiot. So this one is Bagman Blues Part 1. So this is Brett Ewins. Man, I love Brett Ewins stuff. Such a shame about that guy, man. He died really young. So he's in this area where there's all this volcanic ash. Basically killed all these troops. And there's some Nort soldiers who are still alive, though. They shoot at Road Trooper. Even the inking, I can tell. He's got such a distinctive style, even though he's not doing anything crazy. It's not like he's like, oh, I'm Dave McKean or something. It's very standard art, but it's unmistakable. Just little things about the way he draws and inks. So Bagman's microchip gets hit by an enemy bullet, and it's basically kind of on the fritz. Yeah, look at this. The way he inks this stuff. I mean, you can tell why him and Brendan McCarthy, do comics together all the time. And so basically Bagman loses his mind, and he's just slowly unpacking everything from his bag. I kind of like this, just showing everything that's in the bag. A book like The Scheme's the Thing, Guide to New Earth. Scum Sea Survival Kit. A walkie-talkie. Gamma grenades. All this shit that's in his pack. Even a little porno thing. Digi pinups for the lonely servicemen, For rest and recreation. So Bagman's just lost it. So he's down a man. He's fighting all these Norts. They keep coming. God, look at this great panel right there. That's almost like Frazetta body positioning. So finally, Bagman comes to at the last second. It looks like Road Trooper's done for. And then Bagman dispenses all these little mini landmines. And all the enemies who are attacking Road Trooper step on them and blow up. Blow up real good. Just terrific stuff. It's also amazing because, I'm pretty sure Brett Ewins was just a kid when this came out. We looked at some of his early fanzine work from 76, 77, I think, 78. And he was definitely cruder than this. And just a couple years later, he's drawing just a fucking demon. Just drawing so good. So he's still worried about Bagman, though, even though Bagman seems to be okay. He doesn't seem to be 100%. He's still a little different. He's changed. And it seems like he's talking back to Road Trooper. It's kind of an interesting panel there. This is Eric Bradbury, by the way, this chapter. We get those Raiders again. The Desert Raiders. Love the way they draws them and their steeds. So this is, at the end of this chapter, he's still really concerned about Bagman. He's like, will he suddenly fail me when I need him most? He doesn't know. He's also worried that the chip is so damaged that it'll just kind of dissolve, which means a total wipeout, which will be the death of Bagman's personality. He'll be dead for reals. Next we have the Body Looters, and this is the first art from Cam Kennedy. Cam Kennedy's so good. And they come up with these two great characters here. They're just these guys who loot. They're little scavengers. After every battle, they show up and pick the dead like vultures and make a nice little tidy profit. They're Mr. Bland and Mr. Brass. And the way they talk to each other, it's very like, that kind of almost vaudevillian, proper English way of like, don't you think so, Mr. Bland? Ah, yes, Mr. Brass. I concur with your, they kind of talk like that to each other. Very formally. So they're at this battlefield, and they're trying to find stuff to sell. Road Trooper comes out of he was hiding under the dirt, the sand, and these Norts show up. And of course he takes them out. And that's it for this volume, except for the covers that Road Trooper was on. Both of these are by Dave Gibbons. Was the cover feature that often? It seems. Creator bios and kind of nice back cover, which I think also is Cam Kennedy because it doesn't credit this to anyone else. So there you go, guys. The first part of our look at Rogue Trooper. Next video, we're going to look at the second volume in the series. To be honest, I don't know if I need every Road Trooper ever made. I know probably, I'm sure in the 90s or the 2000s, they updated them, maybe took them into interesting directions. But, I mean, as far as these early great tales, I'm good, especially after the second one, which I'm going to make a video for probably tomorrow. But I still love them. Just like those enemy aces I have. It's like, I don't need that many more. It's all kind of more the same. But I do love looking through them, and I just love the pure character building. I'm not saying it's like a great three-dimensional character, just a cool kick-ass character. Just the fact that he's this GI, and he's got these 3 microchips helping him out. It's just like, I don't know, it's like Beastmaster or something from that movie. Like, where it's just such a good idea. And it's for like a genre comic or movie. Okay, I'm babbling again. So I hope you guys liked today's video, and I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.